if I'm honest, like the people I surround myself with tend to believe the same as I do, but maybe we're all old-fashioned. But I think,
Yeah.
loyalty is paramount. It's more about the respect that you have for your partner. It's I love you and I respect you, and you're not, I care about your emotions. And also, look, if
Hello and welcome to my channel Say Something with Maths. The future belongs to young and bold. Join me to explore the thoughts, dreams, and aspirations of the next generation. Today, Shatadru Sanyal is joining me from UK, London, UK, and let's welcome him and get to know him better. Welcome, Shatadru.
hi, yeah, thank you. Very excited to be here.
First and the foremost is his name. I'm very intrigued by the meaning of his name, Shatadru. Please tell me what people call you, what I can call you in short. What does this name mean? Who has kept this wonderful name? And a little bit about you as an introduction.
Um, Great, yeah. So yeah, I guess in my native Bengali, it's Shotodru, yes, like you've been saying, or in Hindi, or more generically, Satadru. Um, I think to the extent of my knowledge, the meaning of the name is a translation of the river Satluj in, I think, Punjab. But yeah, I think that's what it is. I'm not sure what that symbolizes, but yeah, and yeah, or you can call me Sats if you'd like. Most people here in the UK tend to call me that because they have difficulty pronouncing my name. But yeah,
Yes.
and in terms of a brief introduction, I'm a recently 23 year old software engineer. So I graduated 6 months ago after studying in London, and I've started working also in London at a hedge fund as a software engineer. So I'm really enjoying that. And I guess I wouldn't say that's, the extent of who I am. I think I love exploring um, different things. So I love, for example, recently I've started dancing properly and professionally again. Um, I also, I really love to um, learn about history, which is something that I do through maybe unconventional media. I learn through not just podcasts and books, but also video games, which is uh, some people raise their eyebrows at, but I enjoy it.
Oh, okay. What about your education? And you were in Dubai, you completed your education, whole schooling in Dubai?
Yeah, most of it. So I mean, I guess my preschool was in the Seychelles. And then we moved to Dubai when I was in, let's say, year two, and yeah, year two, and then from year two to year 13, I was in Dubai. So that's where I did my education, and then I moved to London for university.
Thank you for this introduction, but I know for sure that you can speak on any topic. So today is going to be an interesting conversation, and the topic we have chosen to speak on is about changing relationships, or basically relationship goals, I would say. So we all during our lifetime share different relationships with different people. So as a young 23-year-old, my first question to you would be, what kind of changes have you seen in your relationship with your parents over the years? Take us back to your teen years, and how what was your relationship, what was the bonding, what is it now, and what do you see about this particular relationship, which is a very very important one, going through ups and downs as we move on in life. So over to you.
Um, yeah, that's an interesting question. I think if I have to go back to my teens, obviously, your mid to late teens are a time when, teenagers are quote unquote like angsty and
Hmm.
all of that. We're very moody. We're trying to break away from the ambit of our parents. I was no exception. I think during that time, I've always had a very good relationship with my parents. I've always loved my parents. But I think, you know, during my teens was a time when we had quite a few arguments, disagreements about things that I think are important, like values and beliefs, politically
Mm,
or even morally or
mm,
ethically. But then also, uh, beyond that, you're at that age where you think, your parents aren't cool, and so you have to disagree sometimes for the sake of disagreeing. If I'm honest,
mm,
and I guess that's something that you work on as you get older. And indeed, I
mm,
have. And so I think from the time that I was maybe 15, 16, where uh, we used to argue a lot. I think that definitely changed as I saw myself getting to like 17 or 18, um, becoming more of a like a let's discuss our views. Let's not yell at each other. I want to understand you. I think, my parents are both incredibly intelligent, they're incredibly experienced, and they have very different life experiences. So to me, even, and from each other. And so that's something I wanted to learn from. I think 17, 18 was a time when I really um, learned a lot about my parents' experiences and their lives and their beliefs genuinely from them. So I think
mm,
that was really cool. And it felt more and more equal as I, raced
mm,
towards my 20s. Um, like they weren't my parents in control of my life, but they were more, they were adults who cared about me enough to
mm,
want to tell me what they believed was, right or wrong.
mm,
Um, and I think finally going from that to university, that was, there was some struggles there.
mm,
You start off thinking, um, you know, I'm at university now. I'm a proper adult. My parents can't tell me anything anymore. That's and then there's another period of conflict because your parents who miss you very much and want to
mm,
hear about your
mm,
life and then say, oh, I think you should do A, B, and C about whatever situation you're in. And you're like, no, I'm an adult. I'm going to handle it my way. Stop telling me what to do. And then
mm,
there's another,
mm,
um, I think that's less of a disagreement like in your when you're 15 or 16 where you're disagreeing about everything, and this is more about independence where you're trying to find your independence from your parents. Um, and then again, of course, you reach a happy medium that, like, I think right now we've
mm,
reached a very good point. I'm working, I speak to my parents a couple times a week. We discuss our lives, and we seek advice from each other about what it
mm,
is we're doing, and
mm.
it's lovely because we plan things together as well. I think it's my relationship with my parents is very much um that of best friends now.
Mm.
So I really appreciate that. I love where it is now, and I guess I'll see how it progresses.
You you have just taken us through this journey so beautifully. Each one phase I can identify as a mother, what I had gone through with my child. I think it's not different at all. I think everyone has this phase. Some people realize it early and some people realize it later, but they do come back. The one thing which you said so beautifully is when uh, your teens argue for the sake of arguing and just saying that, okay, if they say yes, this is right or something, I would have to have a different view. Only then, so there the conflict flares up, and a lot more angst, angry, crying, shouting happens because it's just not understanding where it is coming from. But yes, as you said very beautifully, as it grows, be talking about your journey in UK when you came for as a student. Now you're working. uh, Tell me about the struggles which you have. Basically, what was the biggest challenge you faced adjusting in school? Was it with your peers, friends, what you went through? Just take us about that part of your life.
Uh, you mean about moving to the UK and that stuff, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Um, I
First as
think
a student and now working. So, what has changed?
um, if I'm honest, most of your life, you're academics, your extracurriculars, those will be, it's they'll come, they'll go. I think the biggest challenge for me when I got here was forging my own identity. So
Mm.
at school, 17, 18, when you're at school, you form a reputation. There's a reputation. You are this kind of person. For me, that was, I was smart, but I was altogether uninteresting. I was, like a nerd, like a typical nerd.
Okay.
Um, and to some extent, I got out of that in the last 2 years of my school life because I shifted schools. But I thought when I came here that I wanted to think about and forge my own identity. I wanted to be
Ah,
someone that I was proud of and consciously be someone that I was proud of. Um, but that was hard. That was quite difficult for various reasons. I think you're influenced quite easily, especially because I've just moved country. I want to fit in. I don't have anyone that I know around me, and trying to fit in not only a different country with new people, but an entirely different culture is you know it can really easily sway someone who's looking to cement their identity. And so I think in the first 2 or 3 years I found myself becoming someone that I wasn't. A lot of that
okay.
was,
Mm.
I was in a relationship with someone who, honestly, no bad blood there. She was lovely, but, you know, I think I changed who I was a lot to try to be
Mm.
her perfect
Correct.
person, right? Like, which, um, honestly, nobody should be doing that. And there are other things as well. I kind of lost who I was for a while. I forgot what my personal interests were. I started living for other people and becoming a big people pleaser. And I think um, the pandemic was a very good breaking point for me. The pandemic happened sort of halfway through my second year of university. So for me, that was like a reset. I went home, I went back to my parents. I was surrounded by people who knew me, um,
Mm.
people who understood me, and my sister actually played a big role in breaking me out of that cycle. She, because my sister is the one person who, my parents understand me, but as parents, my
Mm.
sister understands me as a peer. And so, you know, just talking to her, spending time with her really put me back on track. And I think coming back to university after that, I think that was something that, you know, I'm
Mm.
I was able to, just be myself, explore my own interests, be unapologetic about, my views and the person that I am. Um,
Mm.
and yeah, I think that's actually helped me in very good stead. I think,
Mm.
yeah. And
Um,
yeah.
yeah. So, what is it that you wanted to show to the people that you are not? What was that thing which made you unhappy? Some incident or something which you can share that I was not, but I was still doing it to please somebody. But when you came out of that phase, that you realized that this is what I am. So, what is that uh, validation you are looking for? You are anyway a good student. So, what is it that you wanted to become?
I mean, look, there's a few things. I think the first uh thing for me is that I've always been a debater. At school, I used to debate.
Mm.
Because we had that like formal setting. I used to debate with my dad as well, in a more informal setting. I love having conversations, long conversations about, you know, deep topics like, be it
Mm.
politics or,
Mm.
ethics or morality, whatever it is. Um,
Mm.
that's something that I want to share with whoever I'm with, and
Okay, got it.
in my first relationship, my partner
Uh,
wasn't that kind of person, and that's okay. That's completely fine.
mm.
But instead
Mm.
of holding on to my identity, I was like, oh yeah, that doesn't matter. Who cares about these conversations? I don't. And
Okay, got it, got it.
uh, you
Mm.
know, and
Mm.
then alternatively, there was like this other thing where when I was uh, when I was surrounded by people who weren't South Asian, I tried to underplay my Indianness.
Mm,
Um, for, I don't, I guess, entrenched old colonial reasons, but also, like uh, I saw myself very much as being in, you know, not my own country, being in
mm,
someone else's country. So I need to, sort of
mm,
make myself more palatable, which,
mhm,
again is something that I identified afterwards as
mm.
something to
You
work on.
know, I speak to a lot of young students, young people like you who have gone abroad, whether from India, Dubai, or anywhere else, and they all have this issue of initially trying to mold themselves to what other people have, but they come out of it. They go through this mental anxiety, sort of phase of depression, and this is because they realize that they were not authentic to what they were trying to be in a new country what others were doing. It's such a difficult phase to balance. I can feel it when you are saying it, but uh, you have to have that kind of support system at home. And as you said, pandemic was something which gave you the break to relook yourself, hold the mirror, and have a good look who you are. This conversation had two interesting points, which I anyway wanted to ask you. That your relationship with your sister. So this there's a beautiful bond here, and I all want to explore this because you are the elder one, and she looks up to you. But at this point, you said she was the one who showed me what who I am, and she brought me out of the phase. So how is the sibling relationship now, and what is the most beautiful thing about it between a brother and a sister? See, I won't say that all brother and sister relationships are as beautiful as yours is. There are a lot of competition, there are a lot of one-upmanship. It all depends upon how your parents bring you up. You girls will always feel that boys are getting the more favored, whether there is going out or whether it's anything else, they get the preference. It always comes between two sisters. There is always comparison, who is smarter, who looks better, who talks better. There is always a underlying this thing in their mind. But yeah, this is a natural thing. It will happen. So what do you say is the bonding factor between you and your sister?
You know, I can't remember a time that I didn't love my sister extremely deeply. Like, as in, I think you're right. It's very much how, like, I mean, a big part of it is how we're raised, So I remember when my mom was pregnant with my sister, she would talk about my sister as someone to be loved and someone who I should look after. And so for me, from the moment that she was born, I knew I loved her with all my heart. And, this was someone that I had to look out for. This is someone that I was going to be involved in raising, although, it wasn't my primary responsibility. And so I think I felt always responsible for her. I think that's from my side where I started to develop, like, this bond with her when she was very little. And, I'd follow her around with the camera while she was like running around and things like that. But I think as we got older, I think, there was always the desire that she be treated fairly. Um,
Yes.
and so whether that be like, with my parents, I know I've fought a lot for, the fact that my sister be treated the same as me. And to be honest, so has my mom. It's not that like she was being treated vastly unequally or anything, but
Yeah, correct.
these
Not
little subtle
not in
things here
those
and there.
terms. Yeah, some
Yeah,
subtle differences do crop up while
exactly. And I think, my sister and I have a really good relationship because we just no holds barred. We spend time with each other and we try to understand the other person, which is something that I value about our family as a whole. We value really trying to understand other people. So there was no point in time where we were like, "Oh, I'm too cool for you," or things like
yeah,
that. I remember, when she
or
was
I know
very
better
young.
than you.
Yeah, I mean, fine. Maybe sometimes we have that. Sometimes, genuinely, I think, when my sister was maybe 12 or 13, and I was at the time maybe 16, right? Or 17. Uh, there's an obvious like gap in knowledge about
Yeah,
certain things. And
yeah.
and there,
That is,
yeah, but yeah, I mean, apart from that, yeah, no, I think there's always been that mutual respect of opinions. I don't think, she's ever thought that like what I'm saying is stupid. She might disagree, but she'll try to understand where I'm coming
yes.
from, and vice versa. So I think that's what keeps us very well bound. I think we really love spending time with each other, and yeah, like just knowing each other. It's great, and knowing that we're each other's support systems. Um,
It's
although,
so beautiful.
yeah,
Yes.
it
You know,
it's
so
mhm.
moving on to my next question about relationship with your partners, as you had already mentioned that you wanted to fit in with your the girl you were going out with that time, and you realize that that's not what you are. So my question to you is, today's changing relationship with youth, now we see at my generation, I will not compare or say things because there is a lot of discussion going to happen on this. Let's keep it simple by asking you, do you think that finding your one life partner or one partner whom you think that this is it is getting more difficult now because people try to see who fits me and uh, not look at the person in a long term relationship, like, okay, this is not right in this, let's go for the another girlfriend, we'll see which is the best, who fits me best. Is there a mentality like that, or if you meet a girl you think, we will mold each other according to our needs and see how it grows, but this is one person, how difficult it is?
It's a very interesting and nuanced question, and we could have a very, very long discussion about it. But um, generally speaking, um, I I think that um, it's not so much that people are ready to, just drop one partner. Yes, there is an aspect of that more so now with like, the liberalization of relationships. But I also think, given society's changing attitudes, given, uh, how acceptable it is now to, end a relationship and start a new one, I think there's an aspect of people genuinely looking for um, good relationships. I think often in my parents' generation, I've seen many couples who they're very clearly not the best fit for each other. Either they fell in love at school and they are, in an unhappy marriage now, but because of societal
Society.
constructs, they can't leave it, or they were arranged and they were never really a good match. I mean, I'm not saying this is the case for everyone. There are very happy arranged marriages, very happy long-term love marriages, but I see this as something, the inability to escape a relationship as being a problem of the generation above me. So I think we don't
Yes.
have that issue. If we're in an unhappy relationship, in something that genuinely doesn't work, then we're free to leave it. And I think that's part of today's relationship dynamics. I think that's a good thing. That said, I do think we take it a bit too far. Not myself personally, I would hope, but I think there's a lot of people my age who, like you said, um, there's less of a long-term vision, more of a here and now. Right now, today, you've made me upset. Okay, we're ending this. I'm going to look for someone who's not going to make me upset in the same way. Um, I don't agree with that. I see it happen a lot. Um, I, you know, Personally for me, I think there has to be some aspect of compromise. I don't think you let yourself go. Like you said, molding each other. I don't know that I
It's a
would
good thing
want
or not.
myself to be, yeah, I wouldn't want myself to be completely molded, especially given my own personal prior experiences. But there's always give and take, like I think be who you are, and ideally your partner, well, the right partner will love you for who you are, but no two humans are I don't think humans are like puzzle pieces. You don't just fit. You have to, wiggle things here and there a little bit to make something work. And I think that I try to do that at least. And then me and my girlfriend have a lovely relationship of, I think, listening to each other and
Mm,
trying to make room for each other's needs, which is good.
mm, mm. So, when you said that, yeah, not molding each other, but I think the thing which I find is, you can correct me, is something which I find lacking is to give the time. You need the time. You can't judge anybody in 1 month or 1 week, or the time is so less that okay, I have decided that it's not fun anymore. So I'm not even going to look beyond it to see whether it goes. I think that the people are just like a very quick to take that decision. Maybe something can come out of it. But yes, if you see, there's certain things. Okay, let me ask this to you. What are the relationship goals for you? What is absolutely non-negotiable? Like, okay, if these are there, these are absolutely like no, no. And if this, I can go that half.
I mean, that's also a difficult question for, I'm still figuring my life out. I'm figuring myself out. I think the absolute requirement is I need to be in a relationship where I feel loved. And, you know, I'm a very affectionate person and I need an affectionate partner. Now, the absolute non-negotiable is that, right? Like expressing yourself and expressing your emotions and, showing each other that you love each other. That's the baseline. I
For
think,
you.
I say that because obviously, like, there's a lot of people who are, they don't like to show their affection very explicitly. Fine, but can't do that.
You want that.
Person.
Huh? You are looking for that. Everybody looks for something.
Yeah.
How how would you rate? It's a very very tricky question, but how would you rate in a relationship goal loyalty as the number?
Oh,
Which what
like
grade you will give this?
whatever scale you're using, it's absolutely paramount, I think. For I mean, obviously, unless you've had this discussion of polyamory, which is a thing as well. I mean, for your traditional relationship, I think it's very, very important. I think that is the foundation on which you build your relationships. I
Is it
think
too much to think that people are going to be always loyal to each other if in love, or we are putting too much pressure on a relationship by saying, I am loyal to you, you got to be loyal to me? I think this loyalty thing, I want to explore it. Let me know from you.
yeah, maybe if I'm honest, like the people I surround myself with tend to believe the same as I do, but maybe we're all old fashioned. But I think,
Yeah.
loyalty is paramount. It's more about the respect that you have for your partner. It's I love you and I respect you, and you're not, I care about your emotions. And also, look, if you're in the kind of relationship where you don't want to be with that person or you don't want to be exclusive with that person, then you should let them know before you do anything,
Yeah.
out of respect. And secondly, fine, if you've had this conversation of exclusivity and you don't want to maintain that anymore, you should probably
Let
end the
them go.
relationship at that point. Like, if um I think loyalty is important.
Very
Not
important.
just like physically, but also, have like your partner having your back is something that is very
Yes.
important. I think
Yes.
it's I didn't mention that earlier because for me it's an unspoken given. If that's not there, you don't have a
Yes.
relationship. Yeah.
Yes. I wanted to know this because this is on number one, should be priority for everyone. If you're in it, it's given. Like you said, it's given that you will be loyal. But it's not the case which I see around, or maybe the media is showing something else which the youth don't think. So this I would say the kind of we see on Netflix and Amazon doesn't project exactly what youth think. They are stereotyping what the youth are thinking, what are doing. What do you say about that?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I would agree. Look, Netflix and Amazon and Prime and all of these, streaming platforms, they want to make money. They're going to dramatize things.
Dramatize,
You know,
sensationalize things. Yeah.
yes, exactly. I mean, it, I mean, fundamentally, I think the reason that like you would want to show people like, I don't know, cheating in a relationship is because most people will be like, oh my God, why are they doing that? And then they get more views, like
Yeah.
it's I don't think that's representative of how people think. Of course, I will say there because my generation is more, I would say, at least amongst Indians, is more like, we're a lot more free in terms of our relationships. Yeah, fine. Some people will take advantage of that. Some people will just do whatever. I know a couple people like that. It's not great, but by and large, um I think at least the people I surround myself with, we definitely think that this is a priority. Like being
That
loyal
that
to each other,
that's
like respecting each other.
that's amazing to hear. That's very heartening to hear that, because when I react, when I talk about this, so I find young people are very sorted. They know what they want, and yeah, it's good that you are not like the first girl you like. Okay, she's going to be the person. But if you feel that, yeah, she is the one, they do pursue it like old fashioned love also. I see it's a nice balance, but I think there are people, no doubt that's why it is mirrored in these kind of situations. It's not something completely made up, it is there also. So we need to talk about case by case, so not everyone can be painted with one brush. Amazing. So, again, coming back to the question about changing for love. So, you think that changing for love is not on the cards, like you be who you are, but there is a compromise, right?
Yeah, I mean, change who you are is it's it's a difficult one. No, I mean, would I change my interests and my hobbies and my
Yes, that
views
is
and things like
possible.
that? No, I wouldn't do that.
Acha, you
But
wouldn't. Okay.
no, not my interest. Like, look, for example, I love watching anime. Okay, this is something that I think the population that watches anime skews male. There are more guys than watch anime than women, and so I think yeah, and my current relationship, my girlfriend, for her anime is this like weird alien thing. Okay, that doesn't mean I'm not going to watch anime. And
That's okay.
what I appreciate is that she was like, okay, I always thought it was weird. You really like it. I'll try. That's the kind of change or compromise that I think is acceptable in a relationship. It's, I see that you are into something. Maybe I've never tried that thing. I'm going to try it as well to see if I can form that bond with you. And if not, okay, no big deal. Like again, another example that I can think of is I love playing video games. My partner does not. No big deal. I'm not going to not play video games. I'm going to play video games in my own time.
Yeah,
Um,
correct.
I think yeah. So it's help and small changes like okay, fine. Maybe your partner responds better to being spoken to in a certain way. Then fine. Just be mindful of how you speak to your partner.
Yes.
Don't um things like that are fine. But I don't think you should give up the person that
Yeah.
is at your
You
core.
you have put it beautifully. Like there are certain things which I will not change because these are core happy. It gives me happiness, so why change it? But I definitely, the best thing is to give it a try. Like for me, I love doing outdoor things. My husband wants to sit at home and watch TV, kind of thing. But he has been on trek with me. He has started doing yoga with me. He's got outdoor yoga. This is something which over the years you build up and you start changing. So he said, I have never tried this. If you wouldn't have told, I wouldn't have known. So this is
Yeah,
how your partners should be. So it's beautiful
I
that you
I
understand
think
it.
so. Yes.
So at
Yeah.
this age. So I think women have all, or we say it, like, or men don't speak. Like, is that what you feel, or you are very vocal about what is your need and what you want to do, or you think that okay, less spoken is better, non-confrontational?
Very interesting. I'll have to confront myself a little bit about this. Look, I've always thought that I'm a very vocal person. Like generally speaking, in non-romantic relationships, indeed, I'm very like, I think XYZ about this thing. I will be very on the face. I will tell you what I feel. I'll be considerate about
Mm,
expressing it, but I'll tell you. And I think I struggled with this a lot in my previous relationship. I almost never expressed how I felt because I thought how she feels is always the most important. And less so in this one. It's something for me to work on. But I
all
think
right.
I'm trying to
Ah,
express myself and let myself be heard. And the thing that encourages me is that I know my partner keeps telling me you should let me know how you feel. And every time I do, that they take it well. They address my concern for what it is, and I really appreciate that, and I think it's helping me open up. I think that is definitely where I
beautiful.
want to be. I want to open up and I want to speak my mind, and I think I'm doing a much better job of that now than I have in the past. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's a journey. Yeah. I'm
it's a
I'm by
journey.
no
It's a
means
journey.
perfect.
Yes, but it's always better we hear it, but in our relationship, if we don't say how the other person will read your mind, and then always you don't understand me, that question should not arise. You tell me, we will understand you. So you tell us. Maybe we will not agree, but at least tell how you're feeling. So I think you have put it beautifully that you are changing yourself, and being open is always better. Okay, let's change the discussion topic, and now I will put you under spotlight to ask you something what comes to your mind instantly. Okay, let's see. If you have to speak to one person in the world who is not alive anymore, deceased person, who is that for 30 seconds? Who would that person be and what would you speak?
I would want to go back to the 1600s or the 1700s and speak to a random Indian prince or king. I don't
Oh,
know who. I
okay.
would want to do that because I'm interested in understanding like the I want to like look West history, especially Indian history. A lot of it comes under a Western shade. Centuries of colonization. I want to really, if I can, understand what governed India and Indians at that time. Like what were predominant cultural themes. What was Indian society pre-colonization really like? What did we value? Um, you know, why did we not have colonial ambitions? Things
Okay.
like that. I would really
Good
just love
question.
to sit down and have a
Amazing.
conversation like that.
Because history fascinates me too a lot, and I think as we the more we know, the more deeper we want to go into each character, each person. But history is spoken in so many different language of different people who are writing the book. Is narrations keep changing, so it's also fascinating and also confusing which one. So you rightly said you will ask the person directly, what is it that you faced? That's amazing. That's a cool answer. All right. Uh, okay. If you have to switch your life with somebody for a day, who would that be?
I would switch my life with my mother. I think um, there are still things that I don't understand about her, which, is natural. But
Yes.
I love her very much, and I want to be able to genuinely see the world through her eyes and feel the things that she's
Ah,
feeling and,
um,
understand her a bit more than I do right now. So for me, I would want to live a day in my mom's life.
Shatadru, I have goosebumps with this answer. This is one of the best answers I've got ever. To know a woman, what she goes through, what a mom especially goes through to behave the way they are. Such a beautiful answer. Lovely. Shatu, I want to ask you about any books recommendations. This is a books or any movies, any podcast, anything you listen to, which our youth listeners can get from you. And this is a section I personally look forward.
Okay, fine. I'll give you one of each. Um,
Please.
I think book I would really recommend this book called Prisoners of Geography. I think it's by Tim Marshall. Um,
Okay.
it's it's a very good book, especially if you're interested in geopolitics. It's the kind of book that it gives you a real good insight as to why the world is what it is. You know, why our politics are defined by our geography, why nations are at conflict, why some nations have succeeded, why others haven't. It's a beginner's guide to geopolitics, but I think it's really good for anyone to read. It gives you context on the world. You
Is it a
really,
new book which is launched? I read about it. No? Is it?
it's no, I mean, the third edition or something has come out recently,
Okay.
but
Okay.
it's been around since I think 2010, something like that.
Okay. Okay. All right.
What's
I will
interesting is
read it.
that it's very, very interesting. I think it's very neutral. So you get because it is about geography, the inalienable geography, and I think that takes away from media coloring, you know? You
Yes.
see the
Yes.
world for what it is, at least a
True.
bit more. So that I would recommend that book. And then a movie that I really love is this movie called About Time.
Okay.
Um, so without spoiling it for anyone who wants to watch it, it's a beautiful movie that I think I watched at a time when I really needed to watch it. I think it tells the overarching message is enjoy your life, experience every moment. Don't live for the next moment. Live for, like really enjoy and cherish each moment that you have. Experience it, uh, because life will work out. You know.
Okay.
And I thought that it's a beautiful message, and it's done in a very creative way. How the
Okay.
characters come to believe that
Okay.
it's lovely. So would
Thank
recommend
you.
that about them.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and one, sorry,
Podcasts.
yes,
Anything you
one
listen?
podcast. Yeah, I really love this one called Short History of. I know that's maybe not a surprise, but Short History of is a kind of podcast that like it talks about historical events or historical figures, but it presents it as a story. So it takes you back in
Okay.
time, and it's like a narration that
Okay.
takes you through the events and the historians and stuff for um, to fill in the gaps. And I think that's really cool. It's my favorite podcast.
Did you watch the latest on Netflix about Romans and medieval history? There's an amazing. They are also doing. I don't recollect the name. I'm very bad with name, but they are doing it similar way. Like they are actually playing the story. They are acting it out, and then they take it back and forth. It's a
Yes,
beautiful one.
exactly. Yeah. My flatmate and I have watched. I think there's a lot of series like that on Netflix now. We watched the one on the Roman Empire. It's I think
Yeah,
unsurprisingly
yeah,
called Roman
yeah.
Empire. But yeah, it's cool.
It's
I
good.
enjoy
It's
media
good.
like that.
Right. Good recommendations, and I'm surely going to catch them up, especially the book. Right. So now we are at the end of this talk show, and this is the time when you get to ask me a question. So let's see what you have for me.
Yes. I wanted to ask. We've had all of this conversation about relationships and um, you know, with a focus on the romantic ones. I want to ask, what advice do you have for building a relationship that lasts?
Okay. Um, Advice is something which I stopped giving to any of the young people at all because the word advice means they will not take it if I give you. I would say from my life experience, I have been with my partner from childhood, and I haven't had from school to college to marriage. It's like almost say from grade 6 onward. I have not met anybody else. I'm
Lovely.
not so, but yes, there was some phase in between where you start thinking that, okay, is he the one for me? But just before marriage, because it was been a long commitment. So, one, if you ask for one advice, it would be that what I feel is that go for something which are common. Tick mark those which you have common. Don't go for the differences. There will be differences. What is the common thing? Can you sit together and talk about history? Then it's a tick mark. Can you talk about sports? Yeah, it's a tick mark. Can you talk about this? Can you talk about travel? If there is fundamental difference of your thinking doesn't match, if you have to talk about, say, any topic on racism, on this, you just randomly throw topics and see what the reply is. So if you can figure out that, yes, this is where the wavelength matches, then everything will go. Because if fundamentally you don't believe in something, and there is the difference between thinking about money, about anything, about children, that's going to be a problem. If you say that those are non-negotiable, something is that you can judge. Everybody is smart. Somebody doesn't want to look is different. You are so madly in love that you don't want to look at those differences which are showing it to you that here, these are the signs. But you said, okay, this will, this never goes away. So you have to take time and see whether the best suggestion is to have long conversations, as you rightly do. I used to have nothing, just one coffee and sit for 3 hours and talk. You will come to know whether the person is there or not. No fancy restaurants, no gifts, nothing with that.
Right. No, that's actually that's something I think we all ought to do more of. So thank you.
Yes.
It's very valuable.
Yes, when I want to talk, I say, let's not go anywhere fancy where you are distracted by, oh, you have taken me to a very good restaurant. You have given me a lovely gift. And I'm so happy to now that I figure out that what is the main agenda of our talk.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
have one coffee and talk.
Yeah. Right.
That
Yeah.
worked for me.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Thank
That's very valuable. And yeah, honestly, I intend to take that up, like, as early as
Do
later
that.
today. So
Do that. Do that. You have to keep it's not something which is very good to hear, but you have to keep these tests, I say, like how we taste our food before we eat it. We say, chakka theek hai ki nahi, namak theek hai ki nahi, everything is good. So we have to test our relationships and not blindly step into, "Oh, I'm in love." So you have to keep testing whether they are for you. So it's good.
yeah.
It's in a way, it's good not to be like, okay, if you love somebody, just try and get deeper into the mind.
Yes.
Yes.
Do we understand each other? But yeah, no, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
Lovely.
you very
We
much.
had we had a lovely conversation, and I really appreciate the openness with which you spoke about relationship topics. And I must tell you, this is very difficult for people to talk. And when I ask this question to many people, they are not ready to open up and embrace or talk about what actually happens to them. And this is where the problem lies. And I'm really, really thank you for being here today and talk so openly.
And thank you for taking the time to have the conversation. I really enjoyed it. It's you know, I think what you're doing is great. I think more people should be having this kind of conversation. It's uh
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. I had a really good
Thank you.
time.
Thank you so much. See you again next week again with another guest. Do subscribe to my channel. I'm sure you're showing a lot of love, and we have grown to 3.73K subscribers. Thank you for that. And as I say every week before I end, we have got one planet. So take care of it. Do a little bit today to make it better, and we can make all of us together a better place to live. Thank you so much.